I never imagined my life would come to this. Standing outside a mansion that looked like it belonged in a movie, my hands trembling as I clutched the address scribbled on a crumpled piece of paper. The wrought iron gates towered over me, and somewhere beyond them was the man who could save my sister's life, or destroy mine. My name is Emma Clark, and 3 weeks ago, I was a waitress living paycheck to paycheck in Brooklyn. Then my little sister collapsed at school. Stage 4 leukemia. The doctors said she needed treatment immediately. Experimental treatment that insurance wouldn't cover. $200,000. I had $700 in my bank account. I tried everything. Loans, fundraisers, begging. Nothing came close. That's when my coworker whispered about a man who could help. For a price. Not money. Something else. My body. 1 year of service. I didn't ask questions. I couldn't afford to. If you're already hooked by Emma's desperate situation, hit that like button and subscribe. This story only gets more intense from here. The gates opened with a mechanical groan, and I walked up the stone pathway, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. The mansion was all dark windows and sharp angles, beautiful and terrifying at once. A man in a black suit opened the door before I could knock. "Miss Clark," he said, his voice flat. "Mr. Valentino is expecting you." Mr. Valentino. I'd heard the name whispered with fear in certain circles. Dante Valentino, one of the most powerful crime bosses on the East Coast. Ruthless. Dangerous. The kind of man who made people disappear. The man led me through marble hallways decorated with expensive art, everything cold and pristine. We stopped in front of massive wooden doors. He knocked twice, then pushed them open. "Come in, Emma." The voice was deep, smooth, and somehow familiar. I stepped inside, and my breath caught. He sat behind a mahogany desk, illuminated by the amber glow of a single lamp. Dark hair swept back, sharp jawline, eyes so intensely blue they seemed to pierce through me. He couldn't have been more than 30, and he was devastatingly handsome in a way that felt dangerous. But it was those eyes. I knew those eyes. "Dante?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. He stood slowly, and a ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Hello, Emma. It's been a while." My legs felt weak. Dante Valentino was Danny, the quiet boy who sat behind me in sophomore English, who helped me with calculus, who disappeared senior year without a word. That was 12 years ago. "Danny from high school?" My voice cracked. You're the Mafia boss?" Surprised? He walked around the desk, each step measured and controlled. "I've changed since then." Changed was an understatement. The shy, brooding teenager had transformed into a man who commanded empires and inspired fear. But those eyes, they still held something soft when they looked at me. "You came here to make a deal," he said, stopping a few feet away. "Your body for 1 year, in exchange for money to save your sister." Heat flooded my cheeks. "I didn't know it would be you. Would it have made a difference?" I didn't answer. I wasn't sure. He studied me for a long moment, and I saw something flicker across his face. Something almost like pain. "The deal still stands, Emma, but I'm going to modify the terms." My heart raced. "What do you mean?" "You'll stay here for 1 year. You'll be mine. In public. At events. Wherever I need you. You'll play the role of my girlfriend." "Girlfriend?" I echoed, confused. "That's all," he continued. "I won't force you into my bed. I won't touch you unless you want me to. But to the outside world, we're together. In return, I'll pay for your sister's treatment. All of it. And I'll give you $50,000 for yourself when the year ends." I stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. "Why would you do that?" His jaw tightened. "Because I can. Do we have a deal?" Every instinct told me this was insane. But my sister's face flashed in my mind, pale, thin, scared. I had no choice. "Deal?" I whispered. Something dark and possessive flashed in his eyes. "Good. Your room is upstairs. Marco will show you. We have a charity gala tomorrow night. I'll have a dress sent up." I nodded, still reeling, and turned to leave. "Emma," I looked back. "I'm glad you came to me," he said quietly. "I would have done anything to see you again." The words hung in the air between us, loaded with meaning I couldn't decipher. Before I could respond, he turned away, dismissing me. As Marco led me through the mansion, my mind spun. Danny, Dante, had been in love with me? That couldn't be right. We barely knew each other back then. Or did we? I remembered him watching me sometimes, Remembered the way his face would light up when I smiled at him. I'd been too caught up in my popular boyfriend to notice the quiet boy behind me. My room was enormous, decorated in cream and gold. A 4-poster bed dominated the space, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a garden. It was more luxury than I'd ever experienced. I sat on the edge of the bed, trying to calm my racing thoughts. I'd just sold myself to a mafia boss. A mafia boss who was my high school classmate. A mafia boss who claimed he wanted to see me again. What had I gotten myself into? I didn't sleep. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Dante's intense gaze, heard the way he said my name, like it meant something precious and dangerous all at once. At 7 a.m, someone knocked on my door. A woman in her 50s entered, carrying a tray with coffee and pastries. "Good morning, Miss Clark. I'm Rosalia, the housekeeper. Mr. Valentino asked me to bring you breakfast and help you prepare for today." "Prepare for what?" I asked, sitting up. "The gala tonight. You have hair and makeup appointments at 2, and the stylist will be here at 4 to fit your dress." I blinked. This was really happening. Rosalia set the tray on a small table and poured coffee. "Mr. Valentino also asked me to give you this." She handed me a black credit card. "For anything you might need." I stared at the card like it might bite me. "I can't take this. He insists. Consider it part of the arrangement." She smiled kindly. "You should eat, dear. It's going to be a long day." After she left, I picked at a croissant and checked my phone. 3 messages from my sister's hospital. Treatment authorized. Starting immediately. All costs covered by private donor. Tears burned my eyes. He'd already done it. Before I'd even spent 1 full day here, Dante had saved my sister's life. I texted back, asking for updates, then forced myself to shower and get ready. Whatever happened next, Sophie would live. That was all that mattered. The day passed in a blur of preparation. Stylists transformed my plain brown hair into glossy waves. Makeup artists contoured my face until I looked like someone else, someone who belonged in Dante's world. At 4, they brought out the dress. It was midnight blue, almost black, with a plunging neckline and a slit up the thigh. Elegant and daring. Exactly the kind of dress that would make people stare. "Mr. Valentino selected it himself," the stylist said, adjusting the fabric. "He has excellent taste." When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked beautiful, powerful, like someone who could stand beside a man like Dante Valentino. At 7, Marco knocked on my door. "Mr. Valentino is waiting downstairs." My hands trembled as I descended the grand staircase. Dante stood in the foyer, wearing a perfectly tailored black tuxedo. He looked up, and his entire expression changed, softened into something almost reverent. "Emma," he breathed. "You look different?" I offered, suddenly self-conscious. "Perfect." He climbed the stairs to meet me, offering his arm. "Are you ready?" "No," I admitted. "I have no idea what I'm doing." His hand covered mine, warm and reassuring. "Just stay by my side. Let me do the talking. All you need to do is smile." We drove to the gala in a sleek black car, silence stretching between us. Finally, I couldn't hold back anymore. "Why did you leave?" I asked. "Senior year. You just disappeared." His jaw tightened. "My father died. I had to take over the family business. The Mafia." "Yes." He looked at me. "I didn't want you to see that side of my life. You were so bright, so untouched by darkness. I wanted to keep you that way. You could have said goodbye." "I know." His voice was rough. "I was young and stupid. I thought disappearing was protecting you. Instead, I spent 12 years regretting it." The car pulled up to a massive hotel ballroom. Cameras flashed outside. Paparazzi, I realized with a jolt. Dante squeezed my hand. "Remember, we're together. Let them see how much I care about you." Before I could process that, he stepped out and offered his hand. I took it, and immediately felt the weight of dozens of stares. Dante pulled me close, his arm around my waist, and smiled at the cameras like we were the only 2 people in the world. "Who is she?" someone shouted. "Dante, is this your girlfriend?" He ignored them, guiding me inside. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, hundreds of people in designer clothes. Everyone turned to look at us. "Dante Valentino," a man called out, approaching with a fake smile. "Finally decided to bring a date?" "Emma Clark," Dante introduced me, his hand possessive on my lower back. "Emma, this is Marcus Romano, a business associate. Marcus's eyes raked over me in a way that made my skin crawl. Pleasure. Dante usually prefers to keep his personal life private. Emma is different, Dante said, his voice carrying an edge. She's not temporary. The words sent a shiver through me. Was he playing a role, or did he mean it? Throughout the evening, Dante introduced me to dozens of people, other crime bosses, politicians, businessmen who reeked of corruption. Everyone treated him with deference bordering on fear, but he never let go of me, keeping me anchored to his side. During dinner, he leaned close, his breath warm against my ear. "You're doing beautifully." "I haven't done anything," I whispered back. "Exactly. You're genuine. Everyone here wears masks. You're real." His words stirred something in my chest, something dangerous. I couldn't let myself feel anything for him. This was a business arrangement, nothing more. But when he looked at me like that, like I was the most precious thing in his world, it was hard to remember. The gala ended past midnight. My feet ached from the heels, and my face hurt from smiling. As we drove home, exhaustion crashed over me. "You survived your first event," Dante said, amusement in his voice. "Congratulations. Is it always like that? All those people pretending to like each other? Welcome to my world." He loosened his tie. "It's all performance. Power plays wrapped in pleasantries. Doesn't it get exhausting? Every single day." He studied me. "But tonight was different. Having you there made it bearable." My heart skipped. "Dante, I know. It's just part of the arrangement." But the way he said it suggested he wished it wasn't. When we arrived home, I headed straight for my room, but Dante called after me. "Emma, wait." I turned. He stood in the hallway, looking uncertain. The first time I'd seen him without complete confidence. "Thank you," he said, "for agreeing to this, for giving me this chance to what?" He hesitated, then shook his head. "Get some rest. We have another event on Wednesday." I wanted to push, to demand he finish that sentence, but I was too tired, too confused by my own feelings. So I nodded and escaped to my room. Over the next 2 weeks, life settled into a strange routine. Dante was gone most days, handling business I didn't ask about, but every evening we'd have dinner together, just the two of us in the massive dining room. We talked about everything except the past and the present. Books we'd read, movies we loved, dreams we'd had before life got complicated. It felt like getting to know him all over again, except this time, I actually paid attention. I learned that he spoke 4 languages, that he'd wanted to be an architect before his father died, that he donated millions to children's hospitals anonymously, that he couldn't sleep without reading for at least an hour, and I learned that the dangerous Mafia boss everyone feared was the same quiet boy who used to sketch buildings in the margins of his notebooks. "Why did you really change the deal?" I asked one night over wine. "You could have, but you didn't." Dante swirled his glass, firelight dancing across his features. "Because I wanted you to choose me, not because you were desperate or obligated. I wanted you to stay because you wanted to." "That's insane," I said, but my voice shook. "Maybe." He met my eyes. "But I've waited 12 years, Emma. I can wait a little longer." The air between us crackled with tension. I should have left, should have retreated to my room before I did something stupid. But I couldn't move, caught in the gravity of his gaze. "What if I never choose you?" I whispered. Pain flashed across his face. "Then I'll let you go when the year ends, and I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I at least got to have you near me for a little while." My chest tightened. This was wrong. He was a criminal, a killer, a man who lived in darkness. But when he looked at me like that, all I could see was the boy who'd been in love with me for years, too afraid to say it. I stood abruptly. "I should go to bed." "Emma, good night, Dante." I practically ran to my room, my heart racing. This was supposed to be simple, a transaction. But nothing about Dante Valentino was simple, and I was terrified of how much I was starting to care. The next morning, I woke to commotion downstairs. Raised voices, something crashing. I threw on a robe and hurried down, finding Dante in his office with 3 men I didn't recognize. "Don't care what Romano wants," Dante was saying, his voice lethal. "He touches my shipment again and I'll—" He stopped when he saw me. "Emma, go back upstairs." "What's happening?" "Nothing that concerns you." But his eyes were hard, his jaw tight. This was the Mafia boss, not the man who read poetry before bed. One of the men smirked. "So this is the girlfriend. Pretty thing." Romano's going to enjoy. Dante moved so fast I barely saw it. His fist connected with the man's jaw, sending him sprawling. Finish that sentence and I'll rip out your tongue. The other men stepped back, hands raised. Boss, we didn't mean... Get out, Dante ordered. Now. They left quickly, dragging their companion. Dante stood there, chest heaving, blood on his knuckles. For the first time since I'd arrived, I saw the violence he was capable of. You should be afraid of me, he said quietly, not looking at me. I'm not a good man, Emma. I should have been. But instead I walked over and took his hand, examining his split knuckles. Let me clean this. Emma, sit down. He obeyed, and I fetched the first aid kit from the kitchen. As I cleaned and bandaged his hand, I felt his eyes on me. Why aren't you running? He asked. Because I'm finally understanding something, I said. You're not good or bad. You're just you, trying to survive in a world that's cruel. His hand cupped my cheek, and I leaned into it despite myself. You're too kind for this life. Maybe. Or maybe I'm exactly what you need. The words hung between us, heavy with possibility. Then his phone rang, shattering the moment. He answered it, his expression darkening. When? A pause. I'm on my way. He stood, all business. I have to leave. Marco will stay with you. Don't go anywhere alone. What's wrong? Romano made his move. I need to handle it before it escalates. He kissed my forehead, the first time he'd touched me like that. I'll be back soon. Stay safe. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with the ghost of his kiss and a terrible, growing certainty. I was falling for a man who lived in constant danger, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Dante didn't come home that night, or the next. Marco assured me everything was fine, but I saw the tension in his shoulders, heard the whispered phone calls. Something was wrong. On the third day, I called Dante's phone. It went to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. Marco, I need to know what's happening, I demanded. He sighed. There's a situation with Romano. Mr. Valentino is handling it. What kind of situation? The kind you're better off not knowing about. But I couldn't just sit here, powerless. I'd spent 3 weeks in this mansion, living in Dante's world, and I realized something. I wasn't just playing a role anymore. I cared about him. Deeply. Dangerously. That night, I was reading in the library when I heard car doors slam. I rushed to the window and saw Dante getting out, but he was limping, blood on his white shirt. I ran downstairs as Marco helped him inside. What happened? I'm fine, Dante gritted out, but his face was pale. You're bleeding. Just a graze. Emma, go upstairs. No. I pushed past Marco. Where's the first aid kit? Dante's eyes met mine, and I saw surprise there. Maybe admiration. Kitchen. But I have a doctor. I don't care. Sit down. This time, when I cleaned his wounds, a deep cut on his side and bruises across his ribs, my hand shook. He'd been in a fight. A bad one. And he could have died. Who did this? I asked, my voice tight. Romano sent men to the warehouse. They were waiting. He winced as I pressed gauze to his side. I handled it. Handled it how? His silence was answer enough. I taped the bandage, then looked up at him. This is your life. Constant danger, violence, never knowing if you'll come home. Yes. Why do you do it? Why not walk away? He laughed bitterly. Walk away? Emma, I'm the head of one of the oldest crime families in America. I don't get to walk away. I have hundreds of people depending on me for protection, for income. I have responsibilities. To what? To maintaining a criminal empire? To family? To loyalty? His eyes blazed. You think I chose this? My father groomed me from birth. When he died, I was 19 years old, and suddenly I was responsible for everything. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Not me. He stood, towering over me. I've done terrible things to keep my people safe. Things that would horrify you. Things I'll never tell you about because I don't want you to look at me the way you're looking at me right now. How am I looking at you? Like you're trying to save me. Tears burned my eyes. Maybe I am. His expression cracked. You can't save me, Emma. I'm too far gone. That's not true. It is. He cupped my face with both hands, his touch gentle despite everything. But God, the way you look at me like I'm still worth saving, it makes me want to try. I reached up, covering his hands with mine. Then try. For me. Emma, I know this isn't real. I said. I know it's just an arrangement. But I can't watch you destroy yourself. I can't. He kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and fierce. 12 years of longing poured into one moment. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me closer, and I kissed him back with equal intensity, tasting copper and regret and something that felt terrifyingly like love. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. "I've loved you since I was 16 years old," he whispered. "Every day for 12 years. I've thought about you, wondered what you were doing, who you were with. If you were happy. When you walked through those gates 3 weeks ago, it felt like fate giving me a second chance." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Dante, I'm not asking you to love me back. I know I don't deserve it, but I need you to know the truth. This was never just an arrangement for me. From the moment you agreed to stay, I was yours. I should have run, should have reminded him this was temporary, but instead, I kissed him again, softer this time, and whispered against his lips, 'Take me to bed.' His eyes searched mine. 'Are you sure?' 'No, but I'm tired of pretending I don't want you.' He lifted me effortlessly, carrying me upstairs despite his injuries, and for the first time since I'd arrived, I walked into his bedroom instead of mine. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows, and Dante's arm around my waist. For a moment, I just lay there, listening to his steady breathing, feeling the warmth of his skin against mine. Last night had changed everything. It wasn't part of the deal. It wasn't supposed to happen. But lying here in his arms felt more right than anything in my life ever had. His fingers traced lazy patterns on my shoulder. "You're awake. So are you." He pulled me closer, kissing my temple. "I kept thinking I'd wake up and you'd be gone. That last night was a dream. I'm still here. Are you?" He shifted to look at me, his blue eyes serious. "Or are you already planning your escape?" I considered lying. It would be easier, but something about last night had stripped away all pretense. "I'm terrified," I admitted, "of how much I feel for you, of this world you live in, of what happens when the year ends. We don't have to think about the year ending. Dante, stay with me. Really stay with me. Not because of a deal or your sister, because you want to." My heart ached. "You're asking me to choose a life of danger, of always wondering if you'll come home, of being the girlfriend of a crime boss. I know. It's selfish." He brushed his thumb across my cheek. "But I'm a selfish man when it comes to you. I want you in my life, Emma. Every day. Not as a pretend girlfriend. As mine. What if something happens to you? What if Romano—" "He won't." Dante's expression hardened. "After last night, Romano knows what happens when he crosses me. He'll back off. Not for how long? Until the next threat? The next war?" He had no answer. Because we both knew this would never end. There would always be another Romano. Another threat, another reason for me to worry. But looking at him, at this man who'd loved me for 12 years, who'd changed the deal to protect me, who'd given me everything and asked for nothing in return, I realized something. I loved him too. "I'm not leaving," I said quietly. "Not after the year. Not ever." The hope that bloomed in his eyes was almost painful. "You mean it?" "I'm terrified. But yes, I mean it." He kissed me deeply, and I felt his relief, his joy, his love in every movement. When we finally broke apart, he was smiling, really smiling, not the controlled expression he showed the world. "I'm going to marry you," he said. I laughed. "That's quite a leap from girlfriend." "I'm serious. Emma Clark, I'm going to make you my wife. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, but someday you're going to be Emma Valentino." The certainty in his voice made my heart flutter. Pretty confident for someone I just agreed to date. "I've waited 12 years. I know what I want." He kissed me again. "And I always get what I want." Mafia boss arrogance? Truth. We stayed in bed for another hour, talking and touching and simply existing together. It felt like the beginning of something real, something lasting, but reality crashed back when Dante's phone rang. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. "I need to take this." I nodded, pulling the sheet around me as he answered. "What?" His voice was sharp. A pause. "When?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Don't do anything, I'm on my way." He hung up and immediately started dressing, his movements tense. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Romano kidnapped one of my men's daughters. 8 years old." His jaw clenched. "He's demanding I meet him. Alone." Ice flooded my veins. It's a trap. I know. He strapped on a shoulder holster, sliding a gun into place. But I can't let that little girl die because of our war. Then bring backup. Marco and... He said alone, or he kills her. Dante turned to me, his eyes fierce. I have to go. I grabbed his arm. Please don't. There has to be another way. There isn't. He cupped my face. If something happens, don't say that. If something happens, he continued, Marco has instructions. You'll be taken care of. Your sister will be taken care of. I don't want to be taken care of. Tears streamed down my face. I want you to come back. I will. He kissed me hard. I promise. I will come back to you. Then he was gone, and I was left alone, terrified and helpless. Marco found me 20 minutes later, still sitting on the bed, staring at nothing. Miss Clark, we need to move you to a safe house. I'm not going anywhere. Mr. Valentino's orders. I don't care. I stood, anger replacing fear. I'm not hiding while he walks into a trap. We need to help him. We can't. He said, then I'll do it myself. I started dressing, ignoring Marco's protests. Where is he meeting Romano? I can't tell you that. Marco. I turned to face him. He loves me, and I love him. I'm not letting him die. Something in my voice must have convinced him, because he sighed. The old meatpacking plant on the waterfront. But Miss Clark? I was already running. I'd never broken so many traffic laws in my life. Marco followed in another car, radioing ahead to other men loyal to Dante. We couldn't let him face Romano alone, deal or no deal. The meatpacking plant loomed ahead, a decaying structure against the gray sky. I parked a block away, my heart racing as Marco caught up. You stay in the car, he ordered. No, Emma, I'm going in. I grabbed the gun he kept in the glove compartment. My father had taught me to shoot when I was a teenager. I'd never thought I'd actually use that skill. You can come with me or stay here. But I'm going. Marco swore. You're as stubborn as he is. Fine. But you follow my lead and don't do anything stupid. We entered through a side door, moving quietly through the shadows. Voices echoed from the main floor, Dante and Romano. You came alone, Romano said, sounding surprised. Stupid even for you. You have the girl? Dante's voice was cold. Let her go, and we can settle this between us. Settle this? You humiliated me. You took my shipments, turned my men against me. You think I'll just let that go? I think you'll do what's smart and walk away. Romano laughed. I have 10 men with guns pointed at you right now. I'm not walking away. I'm ending this. My blood ran cold. Marco and I crept closer, and I could see them now. Dante in the center of the floor, Romano 20 feet away with armed men surrounding him. And tied to a chair, sobbing quietly, was a little girl with dark curls. Let the girl go, Dante repeated. She's innocent in this. There are no innocents in our world. Romano gestured, and one of his men grabbed the girl. You're going to watch her die. Then I'm going to kill you. Then I'm going to find that pretty girlfriend of yours. What was her name? Emma? And make her suffer for every insult you've dealt me. Dante's control shattered. He lunged forward, but Romano's men opened fire. Time seemed to slow. I watched Dante dive behind a concrete pillar, bullets sparking off the ground where he'd stood. Marco was shouting something, his own men pouring into the building, returning fire. I didn't think. I just moved. I ran toward the little girl, keeping low as chaos erupted around me. Her guard was distracted by the firefight, and I tackled him, the gun falling from my grip as we hit the ground. He was bigger, stronger, but desperation gave me an edge. I grabbed a piece of metal pipe and swung, connecting with his skull. He went down. Come on! I cut the girl's ropes with a knife from the guard's belt. We're getting out of here! She clung to me, and I half carried, half dragged her toward the exit. Behind us, the shooting intensified. I heard Dante shouting my name, but I couldn't stop. I had to get this child to safety. We burst out into daylight, and I kept running until we reached Marco's car. I shoved the girl inside, locking the doors. Stay here. Don't move. You're safe now. Then I ran back toward the building, because Dante was still in there and I couldn't leave him. The shooting had stopped. I entered cautiously, my heart in my throat. Bodies littered the ground. Romano's men, mostly. Marco and the others had turned the ambush around. I found Dante standing over Romano, his gun pressed to the other man's head. Blood covered Dante's shoulder, but he was alive. Alive. Please, Romano begged. Don't! You threatened her, Dante said, his voice dead calm. You said you'd make her suffer. I didn't mean it. I was just... You made a mistake, Marcus. You touched something that belongs to me. Dante. I stepped forward. Don't. He looked at me, surprise flickering across his face. Emma, what are you... Don't kill him. He deserves to die. Maybe, but you don't deserve to have more blood on your hands because of me. I moved closer, placing my hand over his on the gun. Please, let him live. Let him spread the word about what happens when someone threatens you. Living in fear will be worse than death. Dante stared at me for a long moment. Then he lowered the gun. You're right, he said. Marco, make sure every family from here to Chicago knows what happened today. Anyone who touches what's mine faces the same fate. He turned away from Romano, pulling me into his arms despite his injury. You saved that little girl. I couldn't let her die. You could have been killed. So could you. I pulled back to look at him. We're in this together now, for better or worse. He kissed me, not caring that we were surrounded by death and chaos. For better or worse, he echoed. I like the sound of that. The next few weeks were strange. On the surface, my life looked the same. Fancy events, expensive clothes, living in a mansion. But everything had changed. I'd seen the darkest parts of Dante's world and chosen to stay anyway. And he'd let Romano live because I asked him to. We were partners now, truly partners, navigating this dangerous life together. You're becoming quite the mob wife, Dante teased one morning over breakfast. Saving children, preventing murders, running into firefights. Is that what I am? Your mob wife? Not yet. He slid a small box across the table. But I'm hoping to change that. My breath caught. Inside was a ring, a simple diamond solitaire, elegant and perfect. Emma Clark, he said, dropping to one knee right there in the dining room. I know it's fast. I know my world is dangerous and complicated, but I've loved you for 12 years, and I don't want to waste another day. Marry me. Be my wife. Be my partner in everything. Tears blurred my vision. People will think I'm crazy. Probably. Your enemies will target me. I'll kill them. Your life is violent and unpredictable. I'll do everything in my power to keep you safe. I looked at this man, this complicated, dangerous, loving man, and knew my answer. Yes. Yes. I'll marry you. He slipped the ring on my finger and kissed me. And for a moment, the world felt perfectly right. But of course, it couldn't last. 2 days before our wedding, we'd decided on a small ceremony, just close family and trusted friends. My sister Sophie called. Emma! Her voice was frantic. Someone broke into my hospital room. They said they had a message for Dante Valentino's fiancé. Ice flooded my veins. What message? They said, Romano sends his regards. Emma, what's going on? Who's Romano? I hung up and ran to find Dante. He was in his office, and the moment he saw my face, he was on his feet. What happened? Romano sent men to Sophie's hospital. His expression turned lethal. I should have killed him. We need to protect her. Move her somewhere safe. Already done. He was on his phone, barking orders. Marco, get a team to St. Catherine's Hospital now. Emma's sister. 24-hour protection. He hung up and pulled me close. She'll be safe, I promise. This is because of me. Because I asked you to spare him. No. His grip tightened. This is because Romano is a coward who targets the innocent. You made the right call, Emma. You showed mercy. His response shows exactly who he is. What are you going to do? His eyes were cold. I'm going to finish this. Tonight. Dante. He crossed a line. Family is off limits. Everyone knows that. By threatening your sister, he signed his own death warrant. I wanted to argue, but I knew he was right. Romano would never stop. As long as he lived, everyone I loved was in danger. I'm coming with you, I said. Absolutely not. She's my sister. This is personal now. Which is exactly why you're staying here where it's safe. He cupped my face. Emma, I can't focus on ending Romano if I'm worried about protecting you. Please, trust me to handle this. I hated it, but I nodded. End it. Tonight. I will. He kissed me deeply. And then we're getting married. And I'm taking you somewhere far away from all this darkness for a while. Just us. No threats. No danger. Just you and me. I'd like that. He left with Marco and a dozen armed men. I stayed in the mansion, pacing and checking my phone every 30 seconds. Hours crawled by. Finally, at midnight, he called. "It's done." I sagged with relief. "You're okay?" "Yes. Romano won't be threatening anyone ever again." A pause. I made it quick. "Mercy, like you taught me. Thank you." "No, thank you. For showing me that I don't have to be the monster everyone thinks I am. For reminding me that mercy isn't weakness." When he came home an hour later, blood-spattered and exhausted, I held him and didn't ask for details. Some things I was better off not knowing. Our wedding day was perfect. We married in the mansion's garden, surrounded by roses and fairy lights. Sophie was there, healthy and radiant thanks to the treatment Dante had funded. Marco stood as best man. Rosalia cried through the entire ceremony. When Dante lifted my veil and saw me, his eyes filled with tears. "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," he whispered. "You're not so bad yourself," I teased, but my voice was thick with emotion. The officiant, a judge who owed Dante several favors, pronounced us husband and wife, and when Dante kissed me, I felt the weight of 12 years of longing finally resolved. At the reception, he pulled me close for our first dance. "Are you happy?" he asked. "More than I ever thought possible. Even though your husband is a criminal?" I smiled, especially because my husband is a criminal who has a heart of gold under all that darkness. He laughed. "I'm not sure about that." "I am." I rested my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "You saved my sister. You showed mercy to Romano when you didn't have to. You donate to hospitals and schools. You're not the monster you think you are. I'm only good because you make me want to be better. Then I'll keep reminding you every day." After the wedding, he took me to Italy, Florence, specifically. We spent 2 weeks exploring art museums, eating incredible food, and pretending we were just a normal couple on their honeymoon. "I could get used to this," I said one evening, as we watched the sunset from our hotel balcony. "No guns, no threats, just us. We could stay," Dante said. "I have enough money. We could disappear. Start over." I looked at him, surprised. "You'd do that? Give up everything? For you?" "Yes." But even as he said it, we both knew it wasn't that simple. He had responsibilities, people who depended on him, a legacy he couldn't just abandon. "Maybe someday," I said, "when things are more stable, when we've built something better." "Something better?" "A different kind of family business, one that helps people instead of hurts them." I took his hand. "You have so much power, Dante. Imagine what you could do if you redirected it. Legitimate businesses, charity work, using your influence to actually make a difference." He considered this. "It would take years, and I'd make enemies among the other families. But you'd have me by your side, and our children someday." His eyes softened. "Children? Someday, when the world is safer for them." He pulled me close, kissing me with a tenderness that made my heart ache. I like the sound of that. "Emma Valentino, mother of my children, builder of empires." "Partner," I corrected. "We build this together." "Partners," he agreed. When we returned to New York, Dante started making changes. Small ones at first. Shutting down some of the more violent operations, investing in legitimate businesses, creating programs to help families in the neighborhoods he controlled. Not everyone approved. Some of the old guard thought he was going soft, but with me at his side, he stood firm. "This is the future," he announced at a meeting of the family heads. "Adapt or get left behind." It was a bold move, but Dante Valentino had never been afraid of bold moves. 1 year after our wedding, I stood in the nursery, painting the walls a soft blue. Dante came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my expanding waist. "You shouldn't be painting," he chided. "The fumes are perfectly safe. I checked with the doctor." I leaned back against him. "Besides, I want our son to have a perfect room. Our son." The words still filled me with wonder. After everything we'd been through, we were bringing new life into the world. "Have you thought more about names?" he asked. I was thinking, "Daniel, after the boy you used to be." He tensed. "Emma, the boy who loved me from afar. The boy who drew buildings and dreamed of a different life. He deserves to be remembered too." Dante turned me around, his eyes bright. "Daniel Valentino. I like it." "Good, because I already ordered the monogrammed blankets." He laughed, and the sound was pure joy. "You're impossible. You love it." "I do. God help me, I do." Over the past year, Dante had transformed his empire. The violence hadn't disappeared entirely. That was impossible in his world. but it had reduced significantly. He'd invested millions in community programs, schools, hospitals. The neighborhoods he controlled were safer, more prosperous. People still feared him, but they also respected him. And slowly, he was building something better. "I got a call from Romano today," Dante said casually. I stiffened. After the wedding, Romano had disappeared. Not dead, but broken. Last we'd heard, he'd fled to South America. What did he want? To apologize. Can you believe that? Dante shook his head. He said living with the knowledge that he'd been beaten and spared by Dante Valentino was worse than death. He wanted me to know he was done, out of the business entirely. Do you believe him? I do. Fear is a powerful motivator. He kissed my temple. You were right. Mercy was the answer. I'm always right. Don't get cocky, Mrs. Valentino. I smiled, running my hands through his hair. I love you. You know that? I do, though I still don't understand why. Because under all that intimidating mafia boss exterior, you're still the sweet boy who used to sketch buildings in class. The boy who loved me for 12 years without ever saying a word. The man who changed his entire life because I asked him to. I changed because you made me want to be better. We made each other better. I placed his hand on my stomach, where our son kicked, and we're going to make him better too. Teach him that power is a responsibility, not a weapon. That mercy is strength. That love can transform even the darkest life. Dante knelt, pressing his ear to my belly. Hear that, Daniel? Your mother is the wisest person I've ever known. Listen to everything she tells you. The baby kicked again, and we both laughed. Later that night, as we lay in bed, Dante traced patterns on my skin. Do you ever regret it? He asked. Staying with me? This life? Never. Do you? I regret that I didn't find you sooner, that I wasted 12 years being too afraid to tell you how I felt. We found each other when we were supposed to, and look at us now. I kissed him softly. We're married, having a baby, building an empire based on something other than fear. This is more than I ever dreamed possible. It's more than I deserved. You deserve everything, Dante Valentino, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that to you. He held me close, and in that moment, surrounded by love and hope and the promise of our future, I knew we'd made it. We'd taken something broken and dark and transformed it into something beautiful. Our story wasn't conventional. It wasn't what anyone would expect, but it was ours. A tale of second chances, redemption, and a love that had waited 12 years to bloom. And it was perfect. I hope you loved Emma and Dante's journey. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional romantic narratives. Drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment. Was it when Dante revealed he'd loved Emma for years? Or when she ran into danger to save him? I'd love to hear from you.